Welcome to Say More, the podcast where we expand the conversation around what it means to be human. I'm here with my co-host, Emily Lawyer, licensed professional counselor, and I am Andy Spray, licensed professional yapper. And we're here to talk to you today. We're answering your real questions, and we're creating a community where we can grow together, learn how to connect more to ourselves in order to connect more to others, and ultimately, hopefully, more to God. Hi.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
Great. How is everyone listening? Hello to everyone who's joining us for today.
Hi out there in podcast land.
Hi. You and I, we spend a lot of time together.
Yes, we do.
What we talk about, we never really know where it's going to go.
Runs the gamut.
It runs the gamut. And a while ago, we were just sitting around conversing, and we found ourselves sharing some stories that we had not shared with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were talking about our stories, we realized, these are starting to sound like what you might call in the comic book world an origin story.
Right. Usually it's a villain origin story, right? Like this is when he becomes the Joker.
Right. Exactly. And we deemed it our anxiety origin story.
So much better. Because it was hard to narrow it down.
It really was.
Because I don't know the exact moment I got bit by that radioactive spider, but there's some origins happening for both of us.
Yes.
In the world of anxiety.
That we can pinpoint. To certain moments in our lives and say, something took hold there. Something changed there. And something really took hold at that moment.
I had a hard time, like I said, sort of narrowing it down. So I'm going to take us on a little bit of a journey.
Oh, okay.
I know we've got some Gen Z listeners.
Okay, I'll pull up my popcorn.
Yep. Gen Zs, I'm going to need you to get in a time machine with me. And we're going to go all the way back to the 1900s. Okay? Because that's my anxiety origin story.
Same.
Is the 1900s. And you have your own things that you're anxious about. There's lots of new things to be anxious about now. But back in the 1900s, we had things like you thought you would be arrested. You really thought you would be arrested as a child. They would come arrest you straight to jail if you turned on the dome light of the car while your parents were driving. You're going to jail. If you turn that on, you're going to jail. In the 1900s, people would just tell you things like, if you swallow gum, it'll stay in your stomach for 7 years. Mm-hmm. Or if you wear a bra to bed, you're going to get breast cancer. And you would just believe it for like a decade.
We had no way to fact check.
How can I look that up? I don't know what to do. People would just tell you things. If your parents left you at a play place, there was nothing you could do.
No.
There was no Gab watch.
No.
There was no phone. I think eventually the employees of Burger King just became your legal guardians. You better not lose track of your parents in the ball pit or that's it. It's over for you.
It was a wild time.
It was a wild time. Even more so, and this predates me a little bit, but I feel like there was a period of time in American history where everybody was a serial killer.
Oh, or so we were led to believe.
I think 1 in 3 people you met at a mall in the early 80s was some kind of serial, especially now I lived in South Florida in the early 80s.
Oh, no.
So statistically, it might have even been higher.
Per capita.
And when I grew up, Adam Walsh had just been kidnapped.
Yes.
And it would be like, well, don't go to the mall.
Yes.
Because that's what got Adam.
Yes.
And you could be on America's Most Wanted.
Correct.
You were just, and you're like, honestly, that might have been a legit fear because really it was rampant. We were lousy with serial killers.
And
back
everybody
in the day.
watched that movie.
Everybody saw it. Everybody knew. And you're like, that's going to be me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there was always like the kid on the milk
carton.
Right. That was a book. But like the kid on the milk carton, like I'm just going to go missing in the marsh and no one's ever going to find me again. And then we had these things called after school specials.
Yes.
Right? It's like, once I started thinking about this, I'm like, whoa, this was a lot to unpack. Or sometimes they'd be called a very special episode. And you'd be like, oh my gosh, Jesse's addicted to pills now. Or that one episode a Full House where Stephanie's friend is being abused by his dad.
Oh, that's right.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. And we really didn't get the full context of what was going on. We just got the 2-minute reveal and the sad music that went along with it.
I think the idea was maybe somebody was supposed to be there to discuss it with you after, but that certainly was not the case. I remember one. It was a Charlie Brown, and it was about a girl who got leukemia.
Oh, in a Charlie
Brown. Yep. Animated beautifully. Yep. And she discovered it because she had bruises. And I was like, that's it. Oh, it's all over for me.
If you see a bruise.
I've got bruises on me.
Oh, my goodness.
Tell my story.
Oh.
Because nobody's there to really help unpack it with you. In the 1900s, we were on our own.
We really were.
To unpack the after-school specials ourselves, / just live with incorrect information and constantly think we're going to be murdered or go to jail.
So terrifying.
So really my origins run quite deep. What about you?
Quite well. So the one that I had pinpointed as you and I were in that conversation, my sister is 3 years younger than me and was almost born in the car on the way to the hospital. So
a nice, relaxing birth story.
And of course, I remember none of this because I was 3. So consciously, I have no memory of it. My body has a memory of it, however, and the details that I've gathered through the years from stories that my mom and dad have told is that my mom started to go into labor. They immediately got into the car, and the hospital was 45 minutes away. Started booking it to the hospital. Of course, this was the carefree and ignorant late 70s, so we're almost into the 80s, but nobody wore seatbelts. So little Emily is thrown into the back seat of the car by herself while we start speeding at a high rate.
Just rolling around like a ham in the back seat. Why even wear a seatbelt if you're going to just get killed by a serial killer? It's like there's no point.
Maybe that was the logic.
I think that was the reasoning.
So as you can imagine, my mom and dad are growing increasingly stressed as my mom is.
Sure.
Her contractions are getting shorter and shorter. And my dad is upset. My mom is upset. Who knows what kind of dynamic was happening in the car? I was told that I started crying, but then very quickly became silent, which that's when you know your little 3-year-old is really in a way because she's so scared at that moment that she just goes fully internal, which became my go-to at that point.
That's
as well.
Your origin story for how I learned to stuff everything down. That's your stuffing story. You're taking it all the way back to your sister's birth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your body remembers that.
I mean, even as I'm telling, and like I said, I have no conscious memory of, as I'm telling you this story, I can't see any of the images that went, because I was too young. My body absolutely it made an imprint on my nervous system, whatever I was feeling. And I'm 3. I don't fully understand what's going on. And certainly nobody was explaining to me what was going on. No. I just knew everybody was really, really scared. And I was supposed to be quiet.
And you better shut up about it.
I was supposed to be quiet. So that we kind of trace that back as, nope, that absolutely, if we were filming the movie, filming the origin story, that would be a big scene.
A big one in the flashback
Yes, in
sequence.
The flashbacks, yeah.
Well, then you told me that, and I was like, okay, I can go back to my birth, which of course I don't remember, but I was an emergency birth in a historical thunderstorm where all the power went out and they couldn't get a hold of the people at home. And I didn't even tell you this part because I forgot. Well, I don't remember any of it, but I forgot that I've been told that it was an emergency because they thought something was going to be wrong. So there was a medical helicopter waiting to take me to a different hospital.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. That's a real relaxing way to enter the world. In the blackout thunderstorm.
Oh my goodness.
With the helicopter waiting. 3 other kids at home doing who knows what.
Oh my goodness.
I know one of my brothers found the matches because he was well versed with where the matches were. They were probably there by themselves. I don't know. I don't know.
And we say anxiety travels. So if you are so close to a parent that you are literally being born and the anxiety that's happening, traveling to your tiny little body.
I might have absorbed something that day.
I would guess so. Well, and then we can even, you and I are kind of laughing about this, but we can take it back even farther because we're learning more and more in research about what happens with our nervous systems. And there's a whole field of study that's fascinating. It's called epigenetics. What's also fascinating is that it very much correlates with what we learn from Scripture in how God talks about generational patterns that can be passed down. But we know through epigenetics that we can even inherit anxiety through our generational line. And like my maternal grandmother, she was a teenager in London during the bombing blitzkrieg, and it so traumatized her system that she had a shock of hair turn white when she was 16 that lasted the rest of her life. So add that into the mix that's traveling down the line.
Literally chiseled into my cells for 32 generations. Do you remember when you were in grad school, you had a project you had to do, and it was like to trace your family tree? And then there was like different colors and symbols, and you made me be like a guinea pig. You had to find somebody to do it for you. And it was like, make a scary red triangle for anxiety, or like a zigzag line for whatever it was. Mine was lit up like a Christmas tree. And you were like, for you, it was like, great. It was grad school pay dirt. You were like, awesome. I'm really going to get an A on this project. And I remember looking at it and being like, oh my God.
Light bright.
Yeah, it was like a light bright pointing with a big arrow right to my nervous system. And I'm not sure at that time of my life I had fully made that connection. You clearly had, which is why you asked me to do it. You didn't ask my husband to do it. He could have done one. You didn't ask him. You asked me. You're like, who's going to have the most messed up family tree? I know. And the epigenetics and all the squiggly lines and all of the red, whatever it was, lit up. And I hope you did get an A on that project.
Oh, I'm sure I did. If you gave me amazing protoplasm to work with.
I eventually got an A in therapy when I brought it in, and I was like, I think there may be a connection. It's starting to dawn on me. In fact, when I went to therapy, literally my first therapy session in my mid-30s that I'd ever been to, I don't think I handed her this paper that day, but I said, I'm not really an anxious person. And I think the degrees on the wall laughed. I think I heard some laughter. And, in my defense, I had a very anxious family. So I think my measuring stick for what it looked like to be someone with anxiety, quote unquote, was a little askew. But, some lessons have been learned.
Yes. Well, and we're in the same boat. This is probably also partially why we're friends, is I'm the same way. If anyone up and well into adulthood had said to me, you really have a lot of anxiety, I would have vehemently denied it because I was so good at masking it.
I don't have it, but I might have leukemia. And also probably that guy's a serial killer. With that, why don't we roll into our question? We're obviously talking about anxiety today. Let's see what's up with our question.
Hey guys, could you say more about anxiety? I feel like I've tried everything and nothing really works.
Talking about anxiety, can we say more about anxiety and its persistence?
Yeah.
So let's establish just a few baseline concepts to get everybody on the same page. Big statement, everybody experiences anxiety. Everybody experiences anxiety. However, not everyone experiences anxiety the same. And I think that's a concept for us to establish up front.
Okay.
In that it's a word that is so instilled into our vernacular at this point that to be able to have some differentiating terms or to put some more specifics around it, I think it's going to be helpful. But just right up front, everybody experiences anxiety.
Okay.
It's just that not everybody experiences anxiety the same. So everybody's nervous system at all times is looking for where is their threat and where is their safety. 24/7, my nervous system is scanning where is their threat and where is their safety. What is threat and safety for my nervous system is going to look different than for your nervous system. My reaction to threat and safety is going to look different for my nervous system than it will for your nervous system. And everybody listening has their own particular brand of what their nervous system is seeing as what is threat, what is safety, and how to react to that. So for those reasons, everybody's experiencing anxiety. It's just we're not all experiencing it the same. Now, let's bring that piece that we talked about in our opening of what I inherited. So I also have, I kind of name it as like a fan on low in the background.
A low rumble.
A low rumble. It's just buzzing in our bodies all the time. This is also why I say we honestly, we have no idea how free a fully redeemed body would feel.
Yeah.
This side of heaven, we're not going to be able to experience it because we have all these different factors that have literally become part of our biology. So let's say I inherited through my line a fan on low in the background, just a rumble. Let's say I inherited a fan on medium in the background. Let's say I inherited a fan on high.
Turbo.
Right. So we've got all these different factors that are going to be part of the mix, part of the cocktail when we use the word anxiety. Now, if we go ahead and say, well, what is anxiety? I'm going to also differentiate, similar to what we did in our depression episode. I'm going to kind of separate out the word anxious and the word anxiety.
Okay.
So feeling anxious, at least for me, I describe that as more of an emotion. And anxiousness says, uh-oh, something's going to be lost or taken away.
Okay.
Anxiety is when I'm feeling anxious in such a way that it turns into sort of a state of, uh-oh, something's going to be lost or taken away.
Okay, let me just repeat that back and make sure I've got it. Feeling anxious is an emotion. Uh-oh, something's going to be lost or taken away. There's a threat. Uh-oh. Anxiety is when I may be feeling that longer, more intensely, and it's a state of being.
Correct. And I am having trouble moving to a different state.
Okay.
It's the duration is going to be lasting longer, the intensity is going to be higher, and maybe it's harder for me to control my thoughts. It's harder for me to access any kind of safety or access any kind of calm. I start looking around and it doesn't seem like there's safety anywhere.
Might be physical symptoms.
Physical, I can start having symptoms. And again, everybody listening would probably describe it differently for themselves.
Yeah.
Some of the more common ones that people might name as I start to feel kind of a tingly in certain parts of my hands or my neck or my arms. My heart might start racing, shortness of breath. So those are some of the ones that we might more commonly name whenever we're talking about being in a state of anxiety. I might notice that my thoughts start to go really what I call global.
Yeah.
I find myself using words like never or always or nothing or no one. If those kind of things are happening, that's probably a sign that I've moved from feeling temporarily anxious into a state of anxiety. So if we just kind of establish that a little bit, okay, well, now we can go to, well, then if we are able to know kind of what's happening for us, why is it that when I try certain things, it doesn't seem to work? Why is it that when I try certain tools that ChatGPT has given me, it doesn't seem to help things go back to a state of calm or a state of feeling like I'm okay? we're going to do a little bit of additional story time. I like to put the cookies on the lower shelf. And I think one of the best ways to do that is through children's books. And I have a favorite children's book that I use a lot when talking about anxiety that's called Toby the Tiger Tamer. And we'll put a link to Toby the Tiger Tamer in the show notes. But I think it's just really helpful to bring complicated neuroscience into the conversation in a way that's easily digestible.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just give you a quick snapshot of the book. So Toby the Tiger Tamer is about a young boy who finds himself consistently doing things that he doesn't want to do. He is acting out in class at school, hitting his sister, crying, getting in trouble on the soccer team, and Toby's feeling pretty discouraged. And his cousin comes for a visit, and his cousin just happens to be a neuroscience major.
How convenient for Toby.
And she says, Toby, I'm actually going to help you understand what's happening in your brain and in your body when these things are taking place. So she introduces him to some concepts that compare animals to different parts of his brain. And that's what we're going to use today to frame some of how we're talking about anxiety. Okay. So she refers to Toby's amygdala, which that's the part of our brain that is fight, flight, or freeze. That's the part of my brain that is most scanning for where is their threat, where is their safety. She likens that to a tiger.
Okay.
And a tiger just protects. An amygdala is just concerned with how do I keep safety in the system? And it can be external or internal safety. So it's like if I were to run out into the street, my amygdala, my tiger, is going to be looking to see if there's a car coming my way, right? And then my amygdala is going to say, run, go into flight. If I am sitting here and a bear walks into the office, my amygdala is going to determine that's threat.
Yeah.
And it's going to say freeze, right? So my amygdala does not consult me when it decides what to do with the threat. It
Pure
just,
reaction.
It just does it.
Okay.
A tiger is just going to protect.
Okay.
So Toby has a tiger. Toby also has a hippo, which we're going to use that to talk about something in our brains called the hippocampus. Okay. The hippocampus is responsible for taking in information. So if a bear walked into this office, my hippocampus is responsible for looking around and taking in additional information to help me make sense of the threat that just happened. So we're going to call that the hippo. So Toby's got a tiger, a hippo,
tiger scanning for threats, hippo
taking in additional information.
Okay.
And then Toby has
like, why is there a bear in an office?
Correct. Why is there a bear in the office?
Okay.
What's everybody else doing right now with this threat that just walked into the office? And then Toby also has a prefrontal cortex. That's the thinking part of our brain. That's the problem solving.
How old is Toby? Does he have this one yet?
His is not quite fully developed.
Yeah, this one takes a while.
He's 11, so he does have one. So the prefrontal cortex is the part of our brain that allows us to make really logical, rational, well thought out decisions. Okay, so we're going to call that an owl. We're going to liken that to an owl because an owl is wise. So everybody has a tiger, a hippo, and an owl. An amygdala, a hippocampus, and a prefrontal cortex. Ideally, we want all of those parts of our brain working together when a threat shows up and where I find safety. Sometimes, though, they just don't work together as well as we want them to. And that's when we can find ourselves maybe in a heightened state of anxiety or a state of anxiety that the duration just seems to last way longer than we want it to. It's probably a sign that my tiger has woken up.
Okay.
My tiger has said protect. Maybe my tiger even woke up with a roar.
Sure.
And if my tiger has woken up with a roar, my owl is going to fly away and my hippo's going to go underwater.
Okay.
Rendering me
just pure jungle cat, fear-based responses.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, if we kind of overlay that with a lot of what we're told to do with anxiety, well, just think a different thought.
Right.
How am I going to think a different thought if my owl has flown away?
Right.
It's just not possible.
So that's like, what are people told you? Yeah. Think a different thought.
Think a different thought.
Be more thankful.
Use gratitude.
Use gratitude.
I'm not going to be able to access that if I'm at a point
in a state of anxiety.
Where I've moved from, again, this is the way I would name it, feeling an emotion of anxiousness to a state of anxiety. And everybody's going to, as you're listening, everyone is going to be using some self-reflection to sort of determine where that line is for them.
And
right?
It's going to be different.
It's going to be different for everybody. But when I have moved into that state of anxiety, trying to access things like a different thought, or I just need to gratitude my way out of this.
Or even like the logic approach of like, well, a bear would never walk into the office. I don't know why you know.
Exactly.
You can't access your
In that moment, if my tiger is roaring awake, my owl has flown away, my hippo has gone underwater, I can't take in that information, and I definitely am not able to utilize that information or steward that information to get my tiger to calm back down. It would be like asking an owl to calm down a tiger. It's just not going to work.
Yeah. So physiologically, you're off to the races.
Physiologically, we are off to the races. We might also say, well, how when someone is in a state of anxiety and I'm telling them all these things, you don't have to be scared right now. I'm here.
Calm down.
Calm down, right?
I love that one. Everyone's favorite.
Not only has my owl flown away, but my hippo has gone underwater. I can't even hear and take in the things that this other person might be telling me. If you are a parent of an adolescent, you have experienced this, right? Where your adolescent is looking at you and you are getting a blank stare. They're not faking it. They're not just trying to tune you out. No. Biologically, what is happening in their brains, their hippo has gone underwater, their owl has flown away, and they are biologically, physiologically unable to take that in that moment.
But it was such good advice.
Oh, you could have the most airtight argument known to man. Sure, it is really, really good advice. It's just that the other person's brain is unable to access it.
And let's not forget, if they're adolescents, their owl is not fully developed, meaning that thing's got a broken wing.
Correct.
It's stumbling away.
Correct.
You don't know when that one's coming back.
Correct. Now let's bring in, and also let's bring in another element to this. There are certain points in life, developmentally, when my tiger is more of a light sleeper.
Oh, more easy to wake up?
It wakes up more intensely. Adolescence is one of those seasons of life where my tiger is going to wake up more intensely. My tiger is going to wake up more quickly. There are certain factors in our anxiety origin stories that would affect that. If my tiger has woken up a lot, especially when I'm really little, my tiger becomes a very light sleeper. And so now my tiger starts to think it has to wake up and protect at all times, even if there's not actual danger there.
So I just want to repeat, make sure I'm hearing this correctly. If you had a childhood where perhaps you were in a heightened state of anxiety more or frequently or whatever, more often than the average, or there was maybe trauma involved, you are more likely then to later in life that tiger awakening, the state of anxiety to be bigger and stronger for you.
Correct. Your tiger is going to become a very light sleeper. And now my tiger is waking up even when there's perceived danger, right? Because here's also what happens with my tiger. My tiger is really smart. My tiger learns, if I detect danger and wake up with a roar and it provides a sense of protection, well, that worked. So the next time, just anticipate that happening again, only anticipate it a little bit faster, and then wake up a little faster. So the brain is a pattern recognition machine.
Yeah.
It wants to run as efficiently as possible. And therefore, those parts of especially the amygdala, is going to continue to try to anticipate faster and quicker and react faster and faster.
It's like building a muscle. It's getting stronger.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if that's part of my story.
That's a muscle I would like to not be building. Can I build some nicer muscles?
Well, and that's, a lot of the times that is what happens for us. If we were to ask, all right, well, what are you feeling towards your tiger right now? Sometimes we do get really frustrated.
Yeah.
I wish that my tiger wouldn't do that. because it ends up costing me so much. My tiger doesn't count the cost. My amygdala can't count the cost. That's not what it's designed for. It's actually designed to do what it's designed to do, and it does it really, really, really well. However, sometimes what it does cost me is being able to access the logic, or is being able, this shows up in relationships, right? That what my tiger may perceive as safety in a relationship may look very different from my partner's idea of what safety looks like in a relationship. And so it can be a really difficult situation that I find myself in when my tiger is waking up at times when I really don't want it to, but my tiger is just going to do what my tiger is going to do. It's designed to keep me safe. And that is either an external sense of safety or an internal sense of safety. So if my tiger is waking up for all of that, then instead what we want to say is, well, then how do I get my tiger to calm back down? And that's where we can say, all right, let's look at something maybe different than thoughts or someone trying to logic my way out of it.
So if I've tried a lot of the things that aren't working, what would work? What does work?
What would work? And this is where we talk about, how do I tame my tiger? Taming my tiger does not happen as a result of more knowledge. Taming my tiger happens as a result of calming the body.
Okay.
And we have talked a little bit about this in previous episodes as well. I've got to figure out a way to get to a felt sense experience of safety. And again, for everybody, that's going to look different. One of my favorites is getting to a safe person. And in the book, that's what Toby goes to first, a hug from his mom. Sometimes people use something that we would call progressive muscle relaxation, where you can kind of tighten up certain parts of your body, like you make a fist and squeeze it really tight and then release it. And that can kind of help to bring the body in. Sometimes people will use what we call grounding techniques. A favorite one of mine is counting colors, where you look around the room and you choose a color and you count out loud how many things you can see that are that color. I'm going to look around the room and name everything that I can see that's green right now. Bonus points if you can get somebody to count it with you, because now we're combining connection, safe connection, with a way for my amygdala to feel safe as well. There are certain ways that my tiger is going to be able to access a sense of safety that involve felt experience, sensory, what I can see in the moment, what I can feel touching my body in the moment, what I can hear in the moment. So any of those types of tools can be helpful to tame my tiger.
So we're starting with sort of body, how did you word it? Not body safety, but body.
Like a felt sense experience.
A felt sense in your body to bring that tiger down.
To help tame my tiger.
There's some grounding things you named. There's some physical squeezing of things, touching of things. Yes. And I know there's probably a list online.
So many different ones.
Eating sour candy, drinking ice water.
Yes.
You know, there's to varying degrees of success, but maybe something on there is going to work for you to help in that moment, in that initial tiger flare up.
And with your tiger up, it's awake with a roar. I got to get my tiger to calm back down first.
Okay.
Now I can layer on some additional sources of safety. My tiger is calmed down. My hippo has come up out of the water. Okay, maybe now I can layer in someone saying to me, hey, I'm here with you. Look at me. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Okay, now I can start to take in that additional source of safety. Now my owl is flying back, and now I can access. There's safety in scripture. Mm-hmm. Now I can access. I'm looking around, and I can know that this perceived fear that's happening right now is not actually there's not actually a bear in the office right now. Now I can access thought. Now I can start to say, is that thing that I'm afraid of going to happen? Certainly. Well, no. Is it likely to happen? maybe likely, but not very. Now I can start to access some of those problem-solving tools.
When your brain is being hijacked, you just can't even access any of that.
Cannot access any of it.
So as well-meaning and as potentially helpful as that will hopefully be at some point, in the moment when your brain is being hijacked, forget it.
Forget it.
That is not going to help anybody. And maybe telling somebody that is not going to help them either.
No. In fact, telling someone you just need to fill in the blank is, to my tiger, that's going to register as another source of threat.
Okay.
Another
that might
source
increase the anxiety.
That could absolutely, because if I have a tiger that is awake with a roar and I try to say to the tiger, you're not real. That's not actually what's happening. What's that going to do?
Right.
That I'm not going to be able to calm it in that way that I need to in order for my hippo to come up out of the water, for me to take in additional information, and then ultimately be able to access those really good problem-solving, logical, rational thoughts in order for things to return to a state of calm. Now, there are going to be some people who are listening to this, and they're going to say, Emily, I've tried all that.
Yeah.
I've done all that. I have done everything in the book, and my anxiety still does not feel manageable. I am unable to access a sense of control or manageability around my anxiety. If that's the case, then you're probably working with one of those tigers who's a really light sleeper.
Yeah.
And if that is what you're experiencing, then that's when we might bring in support, like working with a therapist. Because now what I'm wanting to do is to kind of retrain my tiger. And the only way that can happen is for those consistent, safe, relational experiences to happen over and over and over again, allowing some of those places where my tiger early on, right, in my anxiety origin story, maybe learned to wake up with a roar, being able to access that in the context of safe and secure relationship so that my tiger can learn to do something a little bit different. That might be where I, use certain interventions like trauma interventions that we have. That might be a situation where I get group work involved, where I'm able to in a relational context, provide a more consistent experience of the relational safety so that my tiger can start to learn how to respond to things in a different way. We might also call it, that's sort of the bringing the water line down on the glass type of work, so that when inevitably the threat does occur,
it's going to happen.
This is just part of life.
Yeah.
When that threat does occur, my water line is down on the glass so that it doesn't make the water spill out over the edge. And I'm able to have more manageability and more control around that state of anxiety. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. And sometimes it can take a really, really long time for that particular type of healing to occur. I also think we can, bring a tremendous amount of understanding and compassion along with a little bit of reality. We are not going to be able to get to a place where we don't experience anxiety at all.
At all.
We're not going to be able to get to a place where my tiger never wakes up again. And I don't want that to happen. Right. Again, the amygdala...
I think I need some threat response.
The amygdala is a really vital part of our biology. It keeps us alive.
Right.
Right? So I don't want my tiger to stop working. What I do want is to be able, through all of these different methods, to be able to increase the flexibility of me being able to interact with my tiger, or the flexibility of my tiger being able to calm back down so that my tiger and my owl and my hippo can all work together more easily or more quickly again. That's when we're talking about anxiety, that's really where we're moving. Can I do the work to increase the manageability around it?
How much it's impacting my life,
how much
my relationships,
exactly,
my daily, comings and goings. Exactly. How much is it impacting that? At what point could somebody look into medication?
And that absolutely can be part of the treatment process, because sometimes my tiger is such a light sleeper that it can be really difficult to even do any of the healing work. My tiger is, everything is a threat. The sensitivity and the prediction is so high.
Yeah.
Sometimes medication can be a really, really helpful piece of the puzzle in order for those things to stabilize
to
a little
even be
bit
able
more.
to access,
Yes.
like you said, bring the water line down, being able to access some of that. Could you say more, just because I don't know exactly, could you say more about a panic attack, how that fits into the anxiety tiger?
Yeah. Well, sometimes people will describe a panic attack as a panic attack.
Yeah.
Sometimes people will describe it as an anxiety attack. So I'll leave it to the listeners to discern what it looks like or feels like for them. A panic attack takes place when my tiger has woken up so intensely with such a roar, it literally feels like I'm dying.
Yeah.
It is very, very common if someone is in the middle of a panic attack to believe they're having a heart attack.
Right. To head to the ER.
ER. And it is a very real physiological sense. These things are actually happening. It is a physical symptom that is happening in your body of, it feels like I'm having a heart attack. I can't breathe. The catalyst for those physical things happening in my body is not that there's something wrong with my heart. It's that there has been such a progression of my tiger waking up faster and faster, more intensely, that it gets to the point where it wakes up in such a way that it's just showing up incredibly, incredibly big in my body. And, when we're talking about my amygdala looking for where is their threat and where is their safety, a lot of the times when my amygdala is assessing for internal threat, that's where the panic attack can start to kind of burgeon. Because if I'm assessing feeling a certain emotion as a threat,
interesting,
or if I'm assessing feeling a certain sensation in my body as a result of the emotion as a threat, or if that's coming up and it is not going to jive with how much time in the moment I have to feel any of that. The threat at that point is, no, if I take time to feel that right now, I'm going to lose my job, or I'm going to lose this promotion, or I'm going to lose control over my environment. Could be a number of things. It still registers in my physiology the same as if a 200-pound bear had just walked into this office and was physically threatening my life. In my body, it still registers the same amount of adrenaline, the same amount of cortisol. And so when my tiger is waking up like that over and over and over and over again, faster and faster and faster and faster, it can get to a point where it results in something that would feel like a panic attack.
And that's where I guess you would say that if this is, again, coming up a lot, it's regular in your life, it's disrupting your life, we're working in therapy to sort of help you figure out what is doing the waking up, what is maybe stuck, what's something you haven't moved through yet, what is something that you've shoved down or ignored, right? Could that be?
Yes.
And that's something that you're not going to fix on your own, probably. That's going to be something that happens through time, through a relationship, like with a therapist.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, it's going to have to.
It's going to have to. Okay.
Because this is, there are probably some people in the counseling field who would disagree with me on this, but this is where I'm going.
Hot take alert.
I think research supports it and scripture definitely supports it. We are relational beings. And I am unable to love myself out of those woundings. I am unable, people will often say, you just need to find safety within yourself first. I'm unable to do that unless I have received it from another person first. Now, I can also absolutely bring my relationship with God into that, but it requires an outside source connecting with my nervous system for me to get that felt sense experience of safety and security. And then as I continue to experience that consistently over time, my amygdala gets trained to that instead of getting trained to the danger and responding in that way. And that's when you can really start to feel like that manageability can start to increase.
You know, it occurred to me with our origin stories, it didn't show up overnight. So it's probably not leaving overnight either.
Really well said.
If I've got 32 generations or whatever the epigenetics go back, chiseled into my DNA, it's likely not just going to go away with a walk.
Or counting colors.
Or a stress ball or something. No. It's going to take some work, and that's sort of the work of humanity that we're doing here together on Earth. If you are somebody who experiences anxiety, you are not alone. You got two friends right here with you who are raising their hands and saying, me too, I totally get it. I understand. I'm going through this a lot with friends who are experiencing this in their children for the first time.
Right.
And how scary that is.
Right.
And it's like, I just say, there's nothing but grace and solidarity to you as we sort of journey through this together. You should go ahead and grab Toby the Tiger Tamer. I know that book because Emily got it for my children 1 year for their birthday. And it's because she had looked at my family chart.
No.
And she was like, Amazon Prime, right away, send that to the kids. No, it is a really great tool to help talk to your kids, but also, let's be honest, to ourselves.
For all of us. That's why I brought it in.
Listen, this is not going to be the last we say about anxiety. So we're going to keep saying more. We want to hear more from you. Don't forget to check the show notes. There are ways on there that you can reach out to us to ask your questions. We want to hear from you. We want to know what's going on, and we want to continue this journey together. So thanks for being with us, and we will see you next time.